whenever you're ready.
Okay, look, I want to compliment the players and the leadership of the team. I thought it was obviously a tough early part of the week, but I do think that staff and the leadership amongst the players did a great job of kind of creating momentum towards tonight and having the players ready to compete, ready to play. I thought they played with effort, toughness, the passion was there. Showed some resiliency throughout the game. Obviously, I think we did a lot of good things on defense. 10 first downs, I think, and really, held them to 316 yards. We got a takeaway late. Thought we did a nice job in the kicking game, keep control of their returners. In general, that part of the plan worked. And then offensively, just not able to generate enough. Felt like when we had momentum, we had a critical penalty or we turned the ball over. So right before half, obviously, was a big one, and then obviously the one to make it 2 scores, and then you're down 2, and then you kind of play one-dimensional at that point. So, I think this is a team game. I know there'll be a lot of dialogue and narrative about DJ. And he'll take complete ownership of the things that he can do better. We all understand that. I do think it's important, for everyone to understand that he's still a young player. It's important for everybody. And he's an incredible teammate and an incredible young man. And he works as hard as any player that I've been around. And I think that tonight is not indicative of his who he is as a teammate, a football player, and a leader on our team. And he made mistakes, much like we've all made mistakes in the past. So one thing I know about him is he'll take complete ownership of the things that he can do better. And I would say that that's my responsibility. I'm thinking being a leader on offense, helping him, trying to help the players around him play better, to try to put him in position to where he has better options, can make better decisions. That's part of coaching. So anytime your team makes mistakes, I think it's a direct reflection of the coaching, and we need to do better in that regard. So we got a group in that locker room that is put it on the line. Did what we asked them to do in that regard. And they showed up to compete. And we made too many mistakes to win the football game. It's that simple. So I think parts of our team did enough to win and parts didn't. So hats off to LSU. They made some plays. They have a good football team, a good veteran quarterback, and a good stingy defense, and some unique returners. What questions we got?
Billy, as it pertains to DJ, how much of this do you think is just a reflection of the offseason that he dealt with the injuries, with the missed practice time, or is it something deeper than that? Is it something that maybe just there hasn't been the progression that you would like to see?
No, I think, look, man, I think we all understand the dynamic here. This was his 4th week of full practice. He's had a very unique offseason. He's missed quite a bit of time. But I would say that what he's going to say to you is that he's not going to use that as a crutch. This is not a young man that's looking for excuses. He's going to evaluate it objectively, independent of what's happened in the past. And he was cleared and available, ready to play, had a full week to prepare. And I think it's a young player that is going to learn from his experiences. So we all understand that contributes to it, but he nor our staff is going to lean on that or allow that to be a crutch or an excuse.
Why not maybe give Trammell a little bit of a look and just look for a spark and maybe let DJ just kind of settle?
No, I don't subscribe to that theory. DJ's our quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like you said, he made some made good decisions tonight, but he also made some bad decisions tonight. So, yeah, and you're talking about a guy who, is a rookie himself. So.
For sure.
What do you think DJ's issues were on his interceptions tonight?
I think, you guys watched the same game I watched. I think we've got to continue to work through progressions. I think that's part of it. And ultimately, I would say if you look at all of them, I'd say that was probably the primary deal. We got to continue to work our way through the progression and get to the next receiver. I'll be able to answer that a little more in depth Monday. Look, you guys have a chance to speak with him, but I think ultimately there's lots that contribute to what happened.
After the fourth interception, you went and had a long conversation with him. What would you tell him on the sideline?
Yeah, I think that was we're right on the kick line. We're right on the 36. It's a 10-point game. And that's a situation where you would kick the field goal and try to get it to a touchdown game. Right? So we're going into that with, that series of downs, first, second, and third down, understanding that, knowing that, and then obviously to turn it over would not be, what we were looking to do in that situation. So that's what we were talking about.
Another, penalty wipes out a touchdown very early in the game. It could have been a big momentum play. And there's been a lot of holding penalties. Anything you kind of put your finger on with the offensive line in that regard, and why it's still happening?
A lot of our holding penalties tonight and in the past have been when the pocket is clean early in the down and then the quarterback extends or escapes or begins to scramble, and then we get our hands outside the framework. I mean, I think the majority of the ones that were called tonight were that way, and the one that was called last week was the same, the one that was called Jake. So those are the tough ones on the OL, right? Because they're protecting a launch point, and all of a sudden that launch point changes. And I think you got to, if you feel that happening, your hands get outside the framework, you got to cut them loose.
Coach, what would you say is the biggest difference with LSU's defense this year compared to last year when you're out there?
I think the personnel's completely different. I think they've obviously Perkins and Guillory are back from injury, and then the secondary's been retooled. I would say Perkins being back. Obviously, some of these players are a year older. I would say that's the main thing, and then it's another year in Blake's system, Baker's system. So, to me, ultimately, that's what I see.
Coach, any thoughts on the job Corey Raymond's done with 5 interceptions tonight? Obviously, there's a history with you two.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I would like to say we have control over that. I think that our decision making, our ability to separate, get open, protect, all, I think those things are under our control.
Coach, is DJ still hurt?
No, not that I know of.
The pregame scuffle, I was trying to see, were you on the field at the time, or did you get any intel as to what actually happened there?
Yeah, no, I wasn't on the field. I think there was some discrepancy or misunderstanding about who had the long field. We were operating on the right part of the field, and I think there was some confusion about where each team needed to be. But our players were in the right in that regard in terms of where they were on the field. Now, anything that happened after that was not representative of the team, we're not condoning that. But I think that was the issue, is where the teams would be working pregame.
Lagway had 49 passes tonight. Ball had just 10 carries. I know the game dictates some of that, but is that problematic that there's that big of a discrepancy between his attempts and Ball's carries?
Well, I think that Jacoby had carries too. I think we had 27 rushes, 9 of which were DJ. 76 plays. Look, I think some of that was when the game became a 2-score game. I think all of a sudden, I'd be interested to see what it was at half. You know, it was 13-10
Get 6
at
at
half.
half.
Right. So I think ultimately, then we turn it over and they go, right back out there. So I think the score is indicative of that.
Is it hurting y'all when he doesn't have more carries? I mean, do you need Ball to be a 20 carry a game guy?
Yeah, I think that when we watch the tape, there are other decisions that contribute to him not running, I guess is what I would say.
Sure.
Billy, all that happened, you were a holding call and a pick six away from being out of this place. Is it that simple?
Well, we've lost 2 in a row like that, is what I'm gonna tell you. So, look, I think for our team, it's important that we focus on the things that we can control. What I respect about our team tonight is they showed up ready to play. Thought they competed their ass off. I thought they stuck together through the momentum in the game. And we just made too many mistakes to win the game. So we played well enough on defense. And I think we played well enough in the kicking game. It was, I think we're, like you mentioned, we're a few turnovers away and a few holding penalties away from keeping momentum. I thought we had momentum at times and then we gave it away. So those are areas that we need to improve. But in general, I'm proud of the team and the mindset that they brought here tonight.
The defense did play well, but pressure Nussmeier, how do you think that went? And I don't know that you sacked him, and compared with last year where you guys were just on him all night.
Yeah, I think that's part of their design.
Yeah.
I think the pairing of players they have up front, the skill players they have, they're a little more committed to the run. And I do think that the ball's coming out quick quite a bit. I think they've got some young offensive linemen there that they're kind of working their way through. So how many drop back passes were there? I think ultimately how many second and long, third and longs did we play? Those are the, and then you got to remember you get a lead. Last year we had a 2-score lead and we were able to go get the guy. So you're playing from behind. That presents opportunities to affect the quarterback and sack the quarterback too.
What's the status of Caleb Banks?
He's, I think his foot, re-injured the foot. We'll have more information next week for you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Lord.
Right, yeah, stay on.
Thank you.